So this is episode number 15 of Power Rangers Ninja Steel. This is the second part of what I suppose is a two-parter episode, said to be continued the last episode. They continued it today. The last episode was the Royal Rival. This episode, episode 15, is the Royal Rumble. Copyright much? I know I used to be a wrestling fan a long time ago, but the Royal Rumble, really? I'm sure Vince McMahon's going to be mad about that. Anyway, let's get on with it. Like I said, it was a continuation from the last episode where Princess Viera, her ship crashes in the forest, and now she's got to find an alternate source of power to power her ship so she can get home. Well, obviously Galvanax and his goons and the monster Drillion, they regroup their efforts, and Drillion, the monster, gets a new power-up of his own in the form of just a new arm that looks like a toolbox with tools spilling all out of it. It's absolutely god-awful looking. I voiced my opinion on what this monster looked like in the last episode, so I'm not going to go over that again. However, I'm just going to say it's about time that this series stepped up a little bit more, at least in the action department, because there was at least a lot of action in this one. Of course, Saban can't make it to where the Rangers can keep their mouths shut as they're flipping around and fighting the monsters and doing things like, oh, don't forget about me, and here, have this, and they don't need to talk as they're fighting. It doesn't add anything. So please stop that. It's very, very distracting and annoying from the actual action sequences. Well, obviously, like I mentioned in the last episode, Mick, their engineer, has a problem with Princess Viera because he is from the same galaxy that she and the monster is from, claiming that her royal family basically captured 100 people from his planet, and including him and his parents, and basically sold them to Galvanax and tried and made them slaves. She tries to be all apologetic about it, and he doesn't trust her right away, but eventually, obviously, she gains all of their trust, obviously. Sorry for the pause there. Again, unscripted. I'm trying to go through all of this in my mind. I just saw all of it. Sometimes it's not quite as easy to process as you might think. But again, good action sequences in this one. Once again, Victor and Monty, the ass clowns, had to make an appearance, and this time around, Victor stumbles upon a piece of Princess Viera's broken gravity crystal. I guess that's what you would want to call it, and decides to use it to stage a contest to where he tries to lift the most weight in the world, basically breaking the weightlifting record by 2 tons. And I'm just going to get this out of the way first. This happened at the end of the episode. He obviously attaches the crystal to the bench, to the weights that he's going to be lifting, and it seems to work obviously at first, and he impresses everybody. But Preston, the Blue Ranger, being the smart one, I suppose, of the group, he notices that they attach the crystal, and for some reason, the White Ranger stops him from getting up and making a scene about it. I don't know why. So they attach the crystal, he lifts the weight, and seemingly wins his trophy, but then gets too overly excited, like a little kid would, even though he's not a little kid. He looks like he's 25 years old. Lets go of the weight to grab the trophy, but the weight is still floating in the air, which busts him out completely. And then when he notices it, he tries to grab it again and say, oh, you didn't see that. But no, they saw it, and the crystal is removed, and the weight falls through the floor. I wanted it to fall on Victor so bad. There's several times already in this series where he's come close to biting the big one, but his blind dumb luck keeps saving him. So you can only dream, right? But anyway, back to the actual Rangers. Um, Galvanex sends Drillion back to Earth once again to attack the Rangers. They show up, they morph, and they begin to fight him. And as they're fighting, Mick, the engineer, is trying to make a Zord star to turn Princess Viera's ship into a Zord. Now, in my past experience, it ain't so easy just to turn anything into a Zord. If that were the case, you could throw that you could turn a building into a Zord, a car into a Zord, which obviously we've done that, but not turning anything into a Zord. It either is a Zord or it isn't. You can't just make a Zord, anything into a Zord. This is what's going to bug me about this. Sorry if I rant about it, but never before has a Zord been created just by placing an item onto it, and then boom, all of a sudden it's Zord and it can transform like a goddamn transformer. It doesn't work that way. But it seemed to in this episode, so have fun trying to figure that out for yourselves. However, in the process of making this Zord star that will turn Princess Viera's ship into a Zord, another star comes out of the Nexus Prism. And it apparently is the Lionfire star, power star, and automatically, as soon as it's created, it attaches itself to Princess Viera's armor, which I knew it would. I mentioned this in the last episode. It attaches itself to her armor, and all of a sudden, she starts glowing, and Brody, the Red Ranger, all of a sudden, the star just appears on his wrist. Out of nowhere, like a brand new morpher, just on his wrist, and he's got the star, and he's, well, let's just spin it. So he spins it, the armor disappears from Viera's body, and it reappears on the Red Ranger's body, powering him up into Lionfire mode, which I admit was cool. Probably one of the coolest scenes that I've seen so far in this series. It was made less cool, however, by the fact that Brody could not keep his mouth shut during the transformation. Oh, this is so cool. I feel so much power. Just shut up and let it happen. You don't have to describe what's happening. We have eyes. We're not stupid. Anyway, he powers up. All of a sudden, he's got super fast speed, super strength, which Rangers should already have. But obviously, he's able to defeat Drillion easily. Uses a special attack to make his star blade grow really long and imbued with fire. Slices him in half and seemingly done. But obviously, no. Galvanex hits him with the Grow Ray, whatever you want to call it. And they have to fight the monster all over again, as usual. This is where the new Zord comes into play, which I was getting at just a couple minutes ago, which I don't think should even be. Yeah, this Zord existed in Shuriken Sentai Ninja, the Japanese version, but obviously the way they got it happens a lot differently, and obviously it's already a Zord. It's not someone's spaceship that gets turned into a Zord. But anyway, Brody summons the Zord, gets into it, and automatically starts beating up, Drillion in his enlarged form. And this is another thing that bugs me about this, is that he defeats the monster, of course. It's Power Rangers. He's going to defeat the monster at the end. But the problem with it is that this is supposed to be a really super strong, giant machine. This Zord was supposed to be able to... The Zord is supposed to be the one destroying the giant monster, right? Because the Ranger themselves are still only that big, and they don't have enough power to defeat a giant monster on their own. Well, Brody charges the special attack from the Lionfire Zord, I guess is what it's called. And the monster deflects the finishing attack from his new Zord. So, what does he do? He takes the Lionfire Zord from Megazord form back to its ship form, charges up to the monster while he's standing on the back of it, and does the exact same attack to the giant monster, mind you, that he did when the monster was still little. That makes no sense. When the monster grows, their power their power is amplified by like tenfold. The little ranger at that point is obsolete. It requires the Zords to take him out. So if Brody as the Red Ranger could have just done the exact same attack twice that he already defeated the monster with the first time, why did he even need to use the Zord to begin with? Couldn't he have just walked up? He just walked right up to the monster and said, "Slash! Let me slash your foot," and you're dead. Watch the episode for yourself, guys, because I'm obviously just rambling. There was almost too much stuff going on in this episode for me to process. But all in all, the end of the episode ends with Mick forgiving Princess Viera because he's finally realized that she's turned over a new leaf. She's a good guy now. She had a surprise for him and set up an interstellar link between the Milky Way and the Lion Galaxy, and Mick was able to see his mother and father again, and it was, again, a little bit of a sappy moment. And at the end, you see Princess Viera going home in her ship, which is now a Zord, but of course, in her mind, she's saying, "My armor and my ship are now at your disposal. Summon them when you need them, blah, 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 blah." But she's still going to a different galaxy, across the universe. So what? When they want to summon this armor and Zord, it's just supposed to instant interstellar travel, intergalactic travel, instantaneous. It's a little bit unbelievable even for Power Ranger standards. So I'm gonna stop rambling now because it's Saturday. Obviously, I've got a lot of things to do. I also have an evening of hopefully of relaxation ahead of me as well, because I really do deserve it. I've earned it. I was sick a couple of days this past week, so that put a couple of things on the sideline too. I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. I still got lots of things to hammer out with those. A lot of details to hammer out with that situation. So until next time, guys, I'm the Swordsman. This is Rangers Ready Go. Like, share, and subscribe. You know the deal.